Hello. In this video, I'm going to discuss about the mobile malwares, that is Bluetooth security issues in principles of information security. So what is mobile malware? Actually, how it happens in mobiles. The new generation smartphones combine the functionality of a cell phone and a personal computer. You all know all those things. It run on top of operating system like Symbian, Windows, Mac, Linux, etc. It can be used for document processing, communication, SMS, MMS, email, browsing, etc. And there are a rich variety of APIs which can be used in mobile phones, but these APIs can also be used by malwares to read a confidential document and ship it to an attacker. So that's the main gateway through which a malware can attack your smartphone. The nature of a user is to accept files from an unknown source is the root cause of the mobile malware. So that's one of the main reason behind all this spreading of mobile malwares. That's the carelessness of the user. An example is in Symbian OS application. The applications are packaged by a sys, that is Symbian installation source file. It's an executable file, and the attacker may replace this file with malicious file. That's a example of a malware attack on smartphone, mobile phone. Now in this video we will be discussing about one of the important malware, that is through Bluetooth. Another feature of smartphone is Bluetooth. What is Bluetooth? Actually, it's a communication technology and protocol stack. It became now an important vector for mobile worm propagation. What are the features of Bluetooth? It supports short-range wireless communication of a range between 10 and 100 meters between the devices. It uses 2.4 GHz shortwave radio technology. Its transmission speed is 5 Mbps, and the power requirement is low when compared to Wi-Fi. So all these things impress the user to use Bluetooth. But there are some problems also. Mostly it's used in laptop computers, cellular phones, PDS, headset, keyboard, also in digital camera and other consumer electronic devices. Actually, it's a complex multi-layered protocol. So initially we'll discuss how a Bluetooth exchange communication between devices. It's required to talk about its security. So let us start. To discover Bluetooth enabled devices in its neighborhood, it will initiate an inquiry procedure, which includes broadcasting an inquiry request. So if a device wants to communicate or want to find out other Bluetooth connected devices, initially it sends an inquiry request. All devices in the range of this initiator that are in discoverable mode, that are in the discoverable mode, respond sending their Bluetooth device address, which can be noted as BD address. Here onwards, BD address means Bluetooth device address. Okay, we'll use this term again and again. So what happens is, when the initiator sends a inquiry request, all those devices that are in a discoverable mode, in an open mode, will respond to this by their address. And what is BD address? It's a 48-bit MAC address. The first 24 bits identify the device manufacturer, and the last 24 bits specify a particular instance of that model. You may be knowing all those things because we are using daily. Discovery and user authentication. So that's the first part. Since Bluetooth is a connection-oriented protocol, if A and B are two devices, and if A and B want to communicate through Bluetooth, it needs to establish a connection between them. Okay, so for that, A should know the address of B, which can be obtained through the discovery procedure because it will broadcast the address. Knowing B's address, A could attempt to exchange files with it using OBEX. OBEX is the Object Exchange Protocol that is used for the exchange of files between devices. So what are the problems arising here? Most people keep phone in discovery mode and results in harvesting their device address to the public area like railway station, malls, etc. Attacker can use brute force techniques also to extract the BD address. The BD address will be communicated and it can use the brute force technique to capture it. Also, an attacker A could use OBEX push to transfer a file containing malicious code to user B. Also, it can act as a genuine device and can send push the OBEX file to the other devices. So these are the ways an attacker can attack the Bluetooth security. So that authentication discovery procedures is inadequate for the Bluetooth security. So it searches for another methods. Like user authorization is required before a file can be accepted by a smartphone. So for that we will be using a PIN number. Actually, range varies from 4 and 16 character, but usually we use a 4 character one. And here also one problem is always most of the users use some simple passwords like 1234 0000 etc. That is also a gateway for attack. The smartphones usually prompts a user to enter his or her PIN as a way to confirm whether the file is to be exchanged or not. Here the problems are by disabling authorization. That's one problem. By careless acceptance of external files or attachments. Second one. User keeps his smartphones open to Trojans and other malwares. Either by disabling authorization or by accepting all those files that are unknown to him or her, user keeps his phone in middle of the Trojans and other malwares. Now, so I told all those premier level of security is not enough, it is inadequate, and so it thinks of a link level security. So what are the procedures in link level security? That's the one we are going to discuss now. That's another level of security provided by Bluetooth, which is link level authentication and encryption. Both sides, that means both devices that want to communicate, compute a common secret called link key. Okay, Bluetooth uses a procedure called pairing, computed by both participating devices. But before pairing, it must establish a connection and perform a discovery and paging procedure as we discussed earlier. So initially it performs a connection, then it performs a discovery procedure, and after that it performs pairing procedure in which the link key will be computed. So how is the link key computed? The initialization key init is initially computed. What is kinit? Kinit includes, it's a combination of Bluetooth device address of B, nonce, a nonce value, and a random number generated by A. So these are the things that are included in kinit. So what happens is, both devices agree on a PIN as a part of pairing. Then kinit is calculated as a combination of the random value, address of B, and PIN number using a algorithm which is a block cipher called Cipher Plus algorithm E22. So you can see in the figure, initially A generates a random number. Using this random number, address of B, and PIN number, it will use the algorithm E22 and generate kinit. And B also do the same procedure. Now from that kinit and all those other values, it can generate link key. So A and B generate random numbers, LK random A and LK random B. This is the second procedure. Both the devices generate their own random numbers. Both A and B XOR this generated random number with Kayinit, and they will exchange the product. Okay, the product is exchanged. When one device obtains this product, it will again XOR it with the Kayinit value so that it will get the random number of other one. So that both the devices now have their address, other one's address, their random number and other one's random number. I'll explain it once again with the figure, okay? And with all these values, they will perform a operation E21 to get the key, the shared key, that is KAB. Now after that, it will store KAB and the address of a Bluetooth device. So here I will tell it once again. Initially, it uses at one section, what it will do is it will generate a random number at A and a random number at B. Then already it has generated Kayinit. So this random number and Kayinit is XORed, and then both sides will exchange the product value each other. Then again it will XOR this product with the Kayinit so that they can obtain other one's random number. Okay, so now one device has address of its address, other one's address, its random number and other one's random number. All these values one device have and another device also have the same values. Now they will perform a operation E21 and then obtain the key KAB. So the same one happens here also. Okay, that's about it. Now next step is authentication. If A and B is already, the pairing concept we have discussed, and if A and B is already paired and they have the link key KAP that's generated in the last step. Now if A wishes to authenticate to B, then it generates a random value, random of A, and send it to B. You can see in the figure, A generates a random value and it's passed to B. B will it will compute a even operation on the values, the link key KAB, address of B, that is BD address, and the random number of A. A also computes the same operation E1, KAB, random A, and address of B. Then both will, A will verify the response that's obtained from B. That's what about authentication. Now, how to hack the link key? It's possible to launch a dictionary attack by sniffing each message, because each message will be encrypted with the KAB. So it will be easy for an attacker to sniff and find out the link key using all those pairing and authentication messages. These attacks enables an eavesdropper to obtain this KAB so that attacker can, if an attacker obtains KAB, he will act as a genuine device and will start to spread the malicious code to other devices. The latest version of Bluetooth, version 2.1, gets rid of this problem by using elliptic curve Diffie-Hellman key exchange algorithm. It's an algorithm you have studied in cryptography. So this can be used to avoid such a type of attack. And here, what are the problems faced? Main problem is the 4-digit PIN, that is a weak password used by most of the users. Other one is accepting connection from any unknown source, and then and disabling PIN authentication. So these are the problems faced in these stages. Now that's about the Bluetooth security issues. We have discussed what is Bluetooth, what is mobile malware, what is Bluetooth, what are the procedures done to provide security in Bluetooth, and what are the problems faced in each stage of Bluetooth security. Now we'll discuss about some examples of Bluetooth attacks that were in the earlier stages, like Kabir, that is affected by Symbian Series 60 operating system. It was in June 2004. What it do is it detect a device in discoverable mode and send worm payload as a sys file. and victim will download and install this file so that it displays a carib on its screen. The device gets battery depletion on continuous scanning of victims for spreading. Then the second one is CommWarrior. It was released in March 2005. It was also affected Symbian smartphones. It was the first one to propagate through Bluetooth and MMS. And it spread infection to the contact list of victim and pass on the infection, spread the infection through the sys file to other devices. Some more examples like WinCE was worm affected Windows CE operating system, and also Red Browser Trojan, it was the first worm affected J2ME phones, and crossover worms, it was spreading through PC to phone and vice versa, and the spreading happens when the devices are synced between. So that's about Bluetooth. Thank you.